Big East play, Georgetown has battled its way to a 9-1 record and top 15 ranking. The Hoyas' stingy defense allowing opponents a mere 55 points per game, while their balanced offense presents veteran leadership along with young stars. Today, Georgetown welcomes in DC neighbor American University. The Eagles soar into Verizon Center to face the Hoyas. Stephen Lumpkins took a year away to chase a pro baseball career. Now he's back and maybe better than ever.
With no more pitching for Lumpkins, but more posting. And that's what American University is looking for their big man to get more interior post play from their senior leader this year.
Lumpkins, the architect of the inside game for the Eagles, certainly needs to shoulder a big load, but it'll be tough against the long Georgetown defense in this one. Standard starting five for Georgetown. American Daniel Munoz, can he penetrate and create things? That's a question for the Eagles today.
Well, he's definitely going to have to be concerned about Georgetown's length and their pressure. That's what Coach Jones talked about yesterday when we spoke with him. But he's going to have to control the tempo of this game. That's going to be very important for American University to stay in this contest.
We'll see if AU can hang around. Mark, how about some keys to the game?
American University wants to get back in transition because of Georgetown athleticism to get out on the break, and they need to take care of the rock because they have an amount of turnovers that they have every game. Georgetown needs to watch their threes because they have shooters all over the floor, and they also want to get ball movement versus the zone, because you want to be able to move the ball from one side to the other to get the defense moving.
Tip controlled by the Eagles in blue. You see the officials for the game, led by Brian O'Connell. And we're underway. Daniel Munoz, primary ball handler for American in the corner. Mike Bursch, catch and shoot, three-point ace. Not that time. Markel Starks ahead for the Hoya. Mikhail Hopkins, guarded by Tony Roblicki. Now Hopkins in the high post. Handoff for Whittington. Hopkins attacking it to the cup. Strong off the window and down.
Tough, strong move by Hopkins. What American University is doing on the back cut, they are sagging off the people cutting to the rim. That gave Hopkins the opportunity to drive to the basket once his defender approached him to close out.
Did not have a field goal in the last game against Western Carolina. Hopkins did have a career-high 4 assists, so he gets off to a good scoring start. Saw that pressure from Georgetown as American brought the ball up the floor. Eagles able to break it. Bursch watched by Lubick. 5 left of the shot clock for AU. Munoz gives it up. Schoaf, good three-point shooter. Short.
Georgetown with a terrific defensive pressure, getting the American University team to come down late in that shot clock to get the shot off.
Starks kick out. Lubick in and out from 3. An American, Mark, normally pretty deliberate team on the offensive end, but last trip down, Georgetown did enough that Munoz, not necessarily the best of long-range shooters, but he will try it that time and make it that time.
But Munoz is shooting 45% from the three-point line. If you leave him open, he will knock it down, as you saw with that particular shot.
And part of his game that has improved for him on this year as he carries more of the scoring load with some of the players from years gone by for American and the scoring leaders. We got a whistle underneath. And it may have been an inadvertent whistle by the officials. See if they count the basket. Jeff Jones, 13th year at AU. He's looking for an explanation.
And it's an inverted whistle.
So the basket here is good. Put it on the board. 4-3 Georgetown lead.
Have to credit Lubick with the post play. Had a size advantage over Bursch and was able to get the nice jump hook off.
Lumpkins. Bursch. And the rebound to Starks.
versus one of those kind of shooters that you can't leave open. As we started this contest, he had 3 open looks to get a shot off, and Georgetown has to be very conscious because he gets most of his points from the three-point line.
They're going to call Hopkins for the reach, trying to get position. His first foul. John Thompson, the third, looking on, season number 9. And his squad looking for a win that would vault their record at 10-1. Georgetown 15th in the Associated Press national rankings for the 3rd straight week. And coming off a game last week against Western Carolina, they scored in the 80s for the 2nd straight game. That's after a 3-game stretch when they averaged under 50 per game against Tennessee, Towson, and Texas. The killer T's, if you will. Tony Roblicki backing in, stripped away, able to get it back. Munoz will pull up. Rebound, Lubick.
Again, American University has taken a long time getting to their offensive set and running something, but you have to credit Georgetown defensive pressure on the defensive end.
Hopkins, good look. Whittington able to get it done over Lumpkins.
Those are the kind of plays that Whittington can make happen because he will always have a size advantage.
Porter, great read, picks the pocket and goes up, and we'll get to the free throw line.
And this was a concern for Jeff Jones and his American University team in terms of turnovers with American University. But again, here is Whittington with his size advantage, being able to take Munoz straight to the rim.
Now foul on Schoaf, his first. Otto Porter Jr. at the line, swishing the first.
This is also one of the things that Coach Jeff Jones talked about in terms of their length and how they cover ground so well. I mean, it looked like they just threw that pass to Porter, and he was standing right there being 6'8" with his long arms, 7-foot wingspan.
And he talked about it. He says, you think there's an opening, and there's not, because they can close so quickly. And a perfect example, Mark, as you alluded to there, is Porter jumped out in the passing lane and helped lead the Hoyas now to a 4-point cushion. Rebound for Porter Jr. American also talked about not giving up buckets in transition, able to get back there defensively. Baseline attempt from Hopkins, no good. The freshman Marco Vasic into the game early for AU. Roblicki on the inside has struggled to get his offensive game going for the Eagles of the early portion of the year. Starks with a 3.
Starks is leaving off where he started the last game, just knocking down threes, but he's a player that's very capable of knocking down those three-point shots. Him and Otto Porter are the 2 best three-point shooters on this ball club.
Each team with a 3 so far. Make it 2 for AU. That's the freshman Vasic from Serbia, went to high school in Michigan, and a key piece to the future for the Eagles.
And Vasic is one of those type of players that is very aggressive on the offensive end, can knock down a 3, but wants to get the ball to the rim.
Porter matching that last triple with one of his own. Porter Jr., 12 points, 9 rebounds, couple of assists last time out. And how about the bucket and 1 for Whittington as the Hoya Heat pays off again. The Georgetown little defense translating into some offense. 3-pointer for Starks. And at the other end, Vasic trying to keep the Eagles within striking distance. Well, the series history over the years, little discrepancy. Hoya's lead, no question there, but AU says it's one thing, Georgetown says it's another. In a couple of years in particular, the scores are different.
Yes, that's amazing. Well, you know, playing here at Georgetown, they're definitely going to show what they think is right.
Well, last year, there's no doubt, we have the video proof of the score and the result. Georgetown had a balanced attack from Markel Starks and guys like Hollis Thompson, Henry Sims. They combined for 50 points. Charles Hinkle had 16 for American, but a big Hoya win, 81-55. And back in this game, Whittington able to finish off the 3-point play quickly. Georgetown now with a 10-point lead. Whittington has 5. Blake Jolivet on the floor for AU. Has the basketball now, trying to help deal with the pressure. AU gets it into the front court. Munoz open for three and hits. We mentioned before, he's an improved three-point shooter and didn't necessarily look for his shot a lot in years past with guys like Hinkle and Troy Brewer, who have now graduated.
I think with the addition of Lumpkins coming back and returning, that he has to be able to take those shots because they're going to leave him open, and he's done a terrific job this season shooting 45% and knocking down those shots.
Hopkins able to wheel in and lay in two. Couple of solid, impressive moves for Georgetown's big man in the early going. Jeff Jones going to take a timeout and chat with his team. Jeff Jones looking to orchestrate offensively as we take a peek at the offensive numbers on the year to get that Georgetown defense among the top 15 in the nation in scoring D. We've seen that so far at the outset.
Yes, their defense this year has been suffocating. That is a trademark of the Georgetown tradition, locking down their opponents, getting hands up, making it difficult for them to get shots off and to score. And thus far, they have done a terrific job of accomplishing those goals.
And points in the paint, Georgetown shutout right now, 10-0. Against the Eagles. Munoz has the basketball. I mentioned Blake Jolivet on the floor. Just his second game back. Ripped up his knee in the offseason. Wasn't sure he was going to come back, but has worked back and had 26 minutes of playing time in his first game back earlier in the week. A loss for AU on the road at Hampton. Another Hoya steal turned into two. That's Porter Jr.
And this is what Jeff Jones was concerned about, their pressure defense, but any of those guys being able to get out in the break and to finish.
Porter Jr. has 6. Munoz again. Able to wheel that to Vasic, now has it back. Jolivet, senior from Houston, putting it on the floor, able to hit it. Blake Jolivet knocks down the bucket. He had 6 points the other night in his first game back.
And Coach Jones is ecstatic to have him back. He's one of those type of players that can create off the dribble, shoot the mid-range shot, but also bring more added offensive weapon to this American University team.
Foul going to be on show for shove. That's the second on the product from Fairfax, Virginia. And Devontae Smith-Rivera into the game for Markel Starks for Georgetown. Quick off the restart. Porter puts it up, tapped around, and show for the ball.
Drive, Marco.
Lumpkins will hand off for Schoaf. Back to Lumpkins, who's yet to score. Got one now, and a trip to the free throw line.
Great pick and roll by American University. Lumpkins with a tough finish. It looked like it was a questionable call, but they get the call to go their way.
Now, 2 years ago, as a junior, led the Patriot League in field goal percentage. Lefty pitcher in high school, got drafted by the Kansas City Royals, 13th round of the Major League Draft, and he decided to step away suddenly from the Eagles program, pitched 2 years of rookie ball. It hasn't worked out, and it was kind of an acrimonious departure, just suddenly left AU, so he reached out to Kieran Donahue on the staff at American in the summer and started to see if there's a possibility he could return to basketball. Jeff Jones had a discussion with him and wanted to make sure that he was all in and committed, and actually had Lumpkins call all of his former teammates to kind of seek their blessing. They were all on board with him coming back, and Jeff has said that he's been working as hard as he ever had in the weight room, on the floor, in the classroom for AU.
And I think he was kind of disappointed in how he left the team. But, you know, that's a learning experience. These kids are in college. This is a institution of learning, and they go through changes and trying to learn what to do and what not to do correctly.
Now for Georgetown, Smith-Rivera is learning if you get open in this offense, you're going to get some great looks. Had one there. Knocks out his 9th triple of the year, the freshman from Indianapolis. Jolivet giving up about 9 inches of height differential to Whittington. And timeout on the floor.
And Smith Rivera looking for the deep shot. Knocks it down going into the break. Georgetown up.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful.
It's our most wonderful line of the year. Celebrate the holiday.
On the floor a lot. Schoaf, Munoz, Lumpkins averaging 35+ minutes a game. That's the top 3 among minutes played in the entire Patriot League thus far. That could change now with the emergence of Vasic and the return of Joel Avett, but so far this year, they've been warriors.
But those are the 3 guys that Coach Jones has to depend on each and every game. Now with the addition of 2 players, that's going to probably limit their minutes some and then help them once conference play starts, because they're going to need production coming off their bench.
Jeff Jones and AU, they've beaten some power programs during his time, wins over teams like Florida State, Maryland, DePaul out of the Big East. And they do it today against Georgetown. Down 9 here.
Now, American University here is in the zone now. This is where Georgetown has to move the ball quickly and try to get good shots within their offense.
Joel Avett guarded by Porter Jr., and they'll get Otto for the personal foul. His first. Third on the Hoyas here in the half. 4 team fouls thus far for American. Real Trawick into the game as well for Georgetown, number 55. Porter able to tap it out, but it'll remain American basketball. Entry pass Lumpkins against Hopkins. Nice switch of hands off the bank.
Good strong move by Lumpkins to go left and to finish with his right with a little jump hook. I mean, he has the ability to score with either hand in the post area, and I'm sure Coach Jones is ecstatic to have a presence in the paint area, even though he wasn't happy the way Lumpkins left.
Porter Jr. able to put down the 3 ball. Georgetown continuing to impress for a long range. Porter has 9. The Hoyas 4 of 5 from beyond the arc. And Porter there defensively, tipping out the pass.
Lumpkins making a very strong move, trying to get to his strong hand, but he has the ability to use both hands and finish with his offhand.
Vasic able to ring up his second triple of the half.
Vasic is one of those type of players that he brings a lot of energy and toughness to this team, and he can put the ball in the basket if given the opportunity.
Each team with 4 threes so far here in the opening half. Staple of the AU game, averaging about 41% from long range. Hopkins, count that in the foul.
Good strong move by Hopkins to take it to the rim. And putting the ball on the floor, he realized that he has a quickness advantage over Lumpkins, but he was able to use his pivots and get the ball up strong and lay it off the glass. These are the kind of plays that Coach Thompson is going to want from Hopkins in the paint. This is part of the scoring the points in the paint that they're going to need from the center position.
Hopkins now has 7, 3 of 4 shooting, and helped out 2 in the helper category. He's got 3 assists. Well, great to see the big man in the Georgetown offense when he's active in that passing role as well as score.
And that's been a tradition of the Georgetown offense. The big man has been very active when it comes to distributing the basketball.
Lumpkins able to get it back. Second effort. Hopkins and company disruptive in the paint. Trawick, short. Hopkins, offensive board, stripped away. Good pump fake by Vasic. Krawick ahead. Roblicki up for American. And look like there may be wholesale subs for both teams coming up here. Next whistle.
This is what is so deceiving about the Georgetown team. They will get out and run. People think that since they run a traditional Princeton-style offense that they don't like to get out and run, just like to come down and set up, but they will get out and run with the best of them if it presents the opportunity.
AU doing enough to neutralize Georgetown in the half court. Lumpkin, sweet setup. Vasic laying in two. Another solid showing for the freshman from Serbia. Had 12 points off the bench Tuesday. He's got 8 here in the opening half at a timeout for the Hoyas.
This shows you the skill set of a Lumpkin, trailing down the center, but able to put the ball on the floor and handle the ball like a guard and lay it off for a wonderful deuce.
Jeff Jones talking about Vasic, saying, you know, he's aggressive. He's going to make mistakes because of that aggression, but I think coaches sometimes are okay with that. They'd rather have to tone a guy down a little bit as opposed to trying to get them to have something that they don't have.
Well, not only that, he is a freshman. So mistakes are definitely going to happen. But again, you would like to have an aggressive player than a player that's not aggressive.
See that fire, positive energy right there for AU. Lumpkin's getting a breather. Austin Carroll, transfer from Rutgers, in for American. Jesse Reed coming on too. Stephen Domingo there for Georgetown. First appearance of the contest. Lubick can't hit inside. And AU with an opportunity to slice this Hoya lead down a little bit more.
This crosstown rival has always been a tough game for Georgetown. I remember when I was here, we went down to the buzzer my freshman year. So this American University team is not going to go anywhere quietly.
Domingo. Back iron. Freshman still having issues from deep. Munoz had it stay out. Carroll had it hop in his hands. American keeps it alive. Reed no good for 3. Roblicki. And Porter Jr. got a stop sign cross court from Starks who said, hold on, give it to me.
AU had 3 opportunities to try to cash in, came up empty-handed, but that's what Coach Jeff Jones wants. It's his team to be aggressive on the offensive glass, and in that possession, they weren't able to capitalize.
Smith Rivera hoisting, not hitting. And Roblicki able to take it away from his teammate Carroll. Porter Jr. with another steal.
And it looks like Roblicki threw the ball and bounced off the back of one of his teammates' head when he wasn't looking.
Domingo. And the freshman still trying to find the range. Just 2 of 16 now in his limited time on the floor for the Hoyas from deep. Six left to shoot. Munoz. High screen Roblicki. Munoz, tough shot, drains it.
Munoz has made some tough shots out here today. That was another shot. He's definitely worked on his game this summer, and he's happy to have Lumpkins back because that was his best friend. So I'm sure he was the guy who said, yes, let's bring him back.
8 now for Munoz. And again, Charles Hinkle, Troy Brewer from last year, 2 great scores. Munoz helping pick it up in that category, and his game has been elevated. Another one and done on the offensive end for the Hoyas. AU trying to creep closer. Roblicki missing another one from close inside. Timeout on the floor. Vasic and the Eagles thinking about what might have been. Georgetown's been scoreless for over 4 minutes, but the Eagles really haven't been able to capitalize on the Hoyas' quietness.
Where Munoz is definitely picking up the slack and keeping his team in it. Georgetown has been scoreless in the last 4 minutes. Cut this lead to 6 with 5 minutes, 16 seconds left in the first half.
Let's look at the big board and see how it goes.
Well, on this date, or close to it 30 years ago, American upset then number 5 Georgetown 62-61. Patrick Ewing on that team, huge win for the Eagles, the last win for AU in that series. And interesting, right before that game, Georgetown had lost to number 1 Virginia when Virginia had Ralph Sampson. Jeff Jones had graduated but was an assistant coach on that team. And then right after that, that was the memorable time when UVA went out to Hawaii and lost to Chaminade, one of the biggest regular season upsets ever in college basketball.
And without the media coverage that we have today, a lot of people around the country were talking, what is a Chaminade? But that was probably one of the most major upsets in college basketball history.
Of course, Jeff Jones, great run as a player, led the Cavaliers to the Final Four in '81. Also led them to some great success, won an NIT championship as a player and as a coach, and now constructing a solid program at AU. Jason Knapp here with former Georgetown great Mark Tillman. Thanks for joining us here right before the holiday weekend. Corner attempt, knocked down Whittington.
And that was terrific execution on the offensive end against the zone. You got 3 passes from one side to the other with Jabril Trawick penetrating the baseline and finding a Greg Whittington for the knockdown 3. That's how you defeat a zone offense, with penetration dribble and looking for the open person.
Good work for Georgetown to solve the Eagle riddle. 5th 3 of the game for the Hoyas. Reed with a nice attack to the hole.
Tough move by Reed to get to the basket, to lay it up all those trees down there.
6'5", first-year player out of Salzburg, PA.
American University kind of have their confidence going, feeling good about themselves right now, feeling that they can play with this Georgetown team, even though they haven't been playing particularly well. These are the kind of games that can get you going.
Trawick has it blocked by Lumpkins, closing in and becoming the all-time block leader in AU history. This AU team picked to finish 3rd in the Patriot League this year, behind 2 outstanding squads, Bucknell and Lehigh. Munoz, how about that presence of mind to keep the dribble alive as he fell? Carroll with 4 in the timer. Snatched down, rebound by Porter Jr. Trawick open. Cutting cord for 3.
Great recognition by Stark to find Trawick trailing on the secondary break. Those kind of shots Trawick can knock down, as you saw.
Well, Georgetown only 31% from deep so far this year. That statistic has improved mightily in this game.
Yeah, you want to penetrate the zone. You don't want to just pass the ball around. They did an outstanding job of penetrating the zone. But here, Trawick on the secondary break, knocking down the 3.
How about 6 of 11 from deep for the Hoyas, 55% on the afternoon, and that's against a team that is usually pretty good at defending the 3 in American, holding their foes in the neighborhood of 35% from the long range. 10-point game here, 3:12 left to go first half. Georgetown looking for a 7th straight win. John Thompson the 3rd, only loss for the Hoyas, the overtime loss to the number 1 team at the time, Indiana Hoosiers. And variety too, that's a hallmark of the way the Hoyas play offense. Open shots for different people. 5 different Georgetown players have hit a 3-pointer.
And Trawick has been playing well, especially the last 2 or 3 games, knocking down his outside shot, getting the bench some offensive production coming off that bench.
Vasic, high off the glass, wouldn't fall. And it belongs to AU. When we come back, step aside here from DC for the moment. Hoyas up 10 on AU in this DC showdown.
Experience Ruby Tuesday's new mixed grill specials starting at $11.99, including our ribs with bacon-wrapped shrimp. Enjoy our free garden bar with any mixed grill special. Ruby Tuesday. It's all good here. This season, buy $50 in Ruby Tuesday gift cards and get a $15 bonus card absolutely free.
Did you bring it, Grandpa?
I've got it, sweetie. 40-year-old tradition to keep. I hope we make it.
We'll make it.
Winter is the season to bring family together. Visit the Infinity Limited Engagement Winter event.
Ball on the deck, can create the others, can rebound, can lead a break, and he's doing the same thing at the next level, and that's why he was a lottery pick when he left Georgetown University.
And the current crop of Hoyas looking to continue to get ready for conference play. It's their final game before opening up the Big East schedule, January 5th against Marquette. Schoaf past the Lumpkins. Patience here again for the Eagles on the offensive end. 10 of the timer. Looking for a cutting Vasic along the baseline. That's tipped out. 7 on the shot clock when we come back here to DC.
Why is everybody in such a hurry? Because it's the final 100 hours of the Ford year-end celebration. Last chance to get the best deals of the year on America's freshest lineup. Hurry in for the great mileage. Hurry in for the latest technology. The clock is ticking, so hurry to the final 100 hours of Ford's year-end celebration before everything's gone. And one more thing, hurry.
Get an additional $500 year-end bonus cash on virtually all Ford vehicles during our final 100 hours celebration. That means up to...
In DC, the big men for the Hoyas have found their groove.
Well, Georgetown traditionally has been getting points in the paint by a committee, but today Hopkins has been doing a terrific job of finding people and getting into the paint himself to put points on the board in the paint. Their defensive end on the press is still outstanding, but here, this is where you have to credit Hopkins and Greg Whittington and Otto Porter of doing it by committee and getting points in the paint.
Certainly the case. 7 for Hopkins, 8 for Whittington, 9 for Porter Jr. As the Hoyas have shared the wealth on the inside on the afternoon. Again, just 6 left of the shot clock now for AU. Lumpkins inside, gets it off. And a host of Hoyas in the mix. Held basketball, possession arrow favoring Georgetown. Jeff Jones over there talking to his staff.
These are 2 really big games for Jeff Jones and American University. Here today playing Georgetown. The next game they're playing Kansas up in Kansas.
Porter Jr. able to put it in and one.
And a nice interior pass by Hopkins to find Porter roaming the baseline and finishing the and one the traditional way. But once you get the ball in the middle area, there are going to be gaps all along the baseline, and Hopkins was able to find Porter on that baseline.
Foul on Vasic, his first. Porter can't finish off the three-point play. Lead, though, is at 12, largest lead of the game for Georgetown. Carroll creates some space, couldn't hit it from deep. Starks. Porter Jr. thought about cutting to the goal with the AU defense in place. Eagles in a zone again. 6 threes in the half already for Georgetown, and Whittington the spin and then too many steps.
Yeah, he didn't have his mind quite made up. He wanted to get to the rim, but AU did an outstanding job of cutting him off once he came out of the spin.
Bursch back on the floor for Schoaf for AU. Joe Levette in, scampering into the offensive end. Coming up at halftime, we'll have a chat with Georgetown Athletic Director Lee Reed. Might be a few things to talk about last week with the news transpiring about Georgetown and some other schools' upcoming departure from the Big East. We'll cover that and more coming up at the half. Starks open for three and hits. Triple number 7 of the opening half for Georgetown.
Georgetown does an outstanding job of penetrating the lane and finding shooters all over the floor, and they're cashing them in today.
Hopkins poked it away, but Lumpkins got it back. Munoz, watched by Starks. Lumpkins, straight away 3. Time here for the Hoyas. Starks. Crowd wanted it, didn't get it, but still Georgetown with a impressive spurt at the end of the half. 8-0 surge in the last 3 minutes. Otto Porter Jr. in the mix in that. 11 points, 6 rebounds. Standard, solid all-around performance for the Hoya sophomore. And Georgetown, 40-25 advantage here at the break. Some good looks.
You know, I feel like I did walking off the court the last game. You guys want to talk about our offense. We're giving them, how many threes did they have? We gave up too many threes.
Coach, you had an 8-0 run in the last minute and a half. How would you assess your defense in the first half?
Awful. I mean, we're giving them too many open shots. They make wide open shots, and we keep giving them to them.
Coach, thanks for the time. John Thompson III, certainly focusing on the defense has been the norm for his team so far in the year. 40-25 advantage for Georgetown here at the break in D.C.
Experience Ruby 2.
This team about the three-point defense. American only hit 4 threes in the half, but they did have a lot of good looks as well.
Well, I think that's what disappoints Coach Thompson so much is the fact that during the scouting report, Coach Thompson doesn't want any shooters to get any wide-open threes. Munoz, all those guys got a lot of wide-open looks, but you have to credit American University. They did a terrific job of finding the open shooter, and they were able to cash in on 4 of 11 shooting.
And Georgetown at the other end had the range, as we discussed, 7 of 13 from deep, 55.6% from long range, some of their best numbers from that category on the year.
And they're shooting the ball terrific today, from Porter to Starks to Trawick. Those guys are knocking down shots, playing hard on the defensive end and finding each other. But these guys are doing an outstanding job of knocking down their shots.
You look at the numbers of the game, points in the pen favoring the Hoyas. American did get a good lift off the bench, 12 points. Bostic leading in that category with his energy and effectiveness. Jeff Jones, the head coach of American, joining us. And JJ, what were you talking to your team about as you were in the locker room at halftime?
You know, we just have to be more efficient. You know, we're obviously not shooting the ball particularly well, and the 6 turnovers isn't a real big number, but at least 3 of those turnovers, you know, were just kind of the careless variety that led immediately to Georgetown points. So, you know, as well as they're shooting it, you know, we've got to take care of the ball. We can't give them any easy opportunities. So, you know, hopefully we'll knock down some of the open shots that we got in the first half. We'll continue getting them, but we'll be able to make a couple of those.
Jeff, thanks for the time. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Jeff Jones, head coach of American. His team ready to get after it again against the Hoyas here, coming up in the second half.
Why is everybody in such a hurry? Because it's the final 100 hours of the Ford year-end celebration. Last chance to get the best deals of the year on America's freshest lineup. Hurry in for the great mileage. Hurry in for the latest technology. The clock is ticking, so hurry to the final 100 hours of Ford's year-end celebration before everything's gone. And one more thing, hurry.
Get an additional $500 year-end bonus cash on virtually all Ford vehicles during our final 100 hours celebration. That means up to $6,000 total cash back.
I've got it, sweetie. 40-year-old tradition to keep. I hope we make it.
We'll make it. Winter is the season to bring family together. Visit the Infinity Limited Engagement Winter event for the best offers of the season, including an Infinity JX for $499 a month. Infinity, inspired performance.
STG Inc., since 1986, proudly serving the federal government with enterprise network operations, cybersecurity, financial services, systems engineering and integration, software engineering, and linguistics and intelligence solutions. To find out why the government is turning to STG for services around the world, visit stginc.com.
Otto Porter Jr. of Georgetown, ready for the second half, leads all scorers with 11 points. Whittington, coming off his career high of 25 last week against Western Carolina, has 8. Hopkins 7, Stark 6. Munoz and Vasic each with 8 to pace American. AU has it to begin half 2.
And you can hear in the tone of Coach Thompson's voice that he was displeased in the way Georgetown left shooters wide open, and you can't do that once conference play starts, and especially against good teams.
And the defense has been stout, at least in the scoring defense aspect most of the year for Georgetown. They hit the rebound there in the first offensive look of the half for the Hoyas. Not a lot of fouls in the game, just 3 team fouls in the first half on Georgetown, 6 on American. Schoaf of AU is the only player with multiple fouls in the game thus far. Starks, nice fake, can't finish. Lubick up and down and one.
Georgetown did an outstanding job of moving the ball, taking their time, being patient. Starks with an up fake, got a nice look, but Lubick on the backside getting that offensive rebound. This is where you can get easy points and easy buckets when you attack the rim from the offensive glass.
Foul on Vasic, second on the freshman. Lubick coming into the game shooting 63% from the field, one of the best percentages in the Big East. Finishes off the three-point play. Munoz, and again, quick hands from Georgetown. Jeff Jones and American over the years prided themselves on hanging on to the basketball turnover-wise. Their turnover numbers up a little bit this year, about 14 per game, but as he mentioned, just 6 in the opening half, but again, some of those were careless giveaways.
A lot of them probably were careless giveaways, but if you look at the minutes that Munoz, Lumpkin, those guys are playing, they're playing almost 40 minutes a game. And when you have a team like Georgetown that's out here that's going to press you relentlessly out here on the floor, that's going to take away from you concentrating because you're going to get tired.
Good spot by Lumpkins, out to Munoz. Can't put it down from deep. Whittington. Georgetown is feeling it from long range. Whittington has 11, 8th three ball of the game.
And this is one of the keys, as we talked about at the beginning of the telecast, that Georgetown wanted to move the ball quickly against the zone. And when you see you move the ball from one side to the other, you get good looks.
Lumpkins banging inside with Hopkins trying to get position. None there. Munoz free for the jumper. Porter Jr. scaling up to get another board. His 7th. Hopkins, good touch. Again, has avoided foul trouble last couple of games, and a more integral part of the attack for Georgetown. Certainly helps when he's on the floor, changes the dynamic of that offense. Step aside for the moment here in D.C. Georgetown continuing to lengthen its lead on AU.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 1-800-553-9611. That's 1-800-553-9611.
Oh. Okay.
Dad, this thing is a boat.
We're going to sell it. I just don't know where to start. Follow.
Car!
Nice to see you.
Start with a written offer when selling your car. No strings attached. CarMax. Start here.
Going back to the first half, Georgetown has scored 16 straight points in this game, Mark.
Yes, when AU comes back into a zone area, this is what Coach Thompson wants to get ball movement. He wants to move the ball quickly in the zone defense. And once the ball gets right here, freeze it. Once the ball gets right here, then that's when he's going to find open shooters all over the floor, and the people will be wide open. And Hopkins does an outstanding job of finding a wide open Whittington for the knockdown three.
Whittington able to convert. You know, 1 point towards the end of the first half. This is a 32-25 game. 8-0 run for the Hoyas at the end of the first half, and now an 8-0 run to start the second half. You add it up, and the Hoyas have stretched it out to 20 plus.
But we have to credit Hopkins because he's doing a terrific job of staying out of foul trouble. But more importantly, what we have seen throughout the course of the season so far is when he gets the post and the ball in the post area, he's looking for outside shooters. And in the last possession before he scored on the break, he was able to cash it in because he's been doing an outstanding job of finding shooters.
Bursch, who's been good for AU from the three-point category, early portion of the year. Net found his range so far. And now Roblicki fouled trying to guard Hopkins underneath. Second on the senior from Harbor City, California for AU.
And Hopkins has to understand that he has to see the effectiveness in passing the ball out of the post if he's getting double and triple team, and they can come back to him and he can score on the second time around.
Starks can't hit from 16 feet. Speaking of inside presence, Roblicki in there. Lumpkins looking to create and mugged on the way to the hoop. Whittington probably pick up that one. It is his second personal foul. Lumpkins leading in scoring and rebounding has not been able to get on track offensively.
Again, Hopkins got caught under the basket because he realized that Lumpkins does not want to take that shot. So what Lumpkins did, he was smart. He put the ball on the floor and initiated the contact getting to the rim.
Vasic back of the floor, spelling Bursch. Lumpkins looking for point number 7. Got that. Coming off a double-double the other night at Hampton. 12 points, 15 rebounds. His third straight double-double.
Now American has come out in a man-to-man because Georgetown has done such a terrific job of finding open shooters. Now they want to put more ball pressure.
Whittington no good. Hoyas though, offensive rebound extending the possession. Hopkins frustrated, he couldn't hang on underneath, had to give it up.
And this is the leader in Starks, being a junior, directing the offense and being an extension of Coach Thompson out there on the floor.
Roblicki able to poke it away. Down from deep. AU continuing to get some quality attempts. Schoaf
these American University players don't waste any time from Schultz to Munoz. They don't waste any time of getting their shot off. If they have an inch of daylight, it's going up.
Couple of chances for Georgetown. That's all for Wroblicki. The Hoya basketball when we return. Schoaf with a three, but Georgetown still with a lead here at home.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful.
It's our most wonderful line of the year. Celebrate the holidays and lease this 2013 GMC Terrain for around $199 per month.
Happy lives. They can change in an instant. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, it can shatter your life. If you're currently in a lawsuit but need money right away, can you afford to wait years for your suit to settle? Now you can get the money you need in as little as 24 hours from Oasis Legal Finance. You may have medical bills, rent to pay, car payments, even simple day-to-day expenses. You need help now. At Oasis, there are no out-of-pocket fees, no payments until your case settles, and no obligation to repay if you do lose your case. So there's absolutely no risk. Call Oasis right now to see how much money you could get before your case settles. Once approved, Oasis can get you your cash in as little as 24 hours. The sooner you call, the sooner you can start putting your life back together.
Don't wait. Call Oasis Legal Finance at 1-800-216-7221 right now.
Merry Christmas to all those enjoying this broadcast this afternoon here at Verizon Center. Georgetown 48-30 lead on AU. Eagles in the huddle. Jeff Jones at the center of that. Trying to diagram some ways to work their way back into this game for the Eagles. Guy who had great success as a player at UVA, Final Four, won an NIT, only coach or person to win an NIT as a coach and as a player. Did so at his time as the leader at UVA and has done great things here in his time at AU. 4 Patriot League regular season titles, 5 trips to the Patriot League championship game, 2 back-to-back trips to the NCAA tournament in 08 and 09, the first in school history, whether he's at UVA or AU. Success has followed Jeff Jones in the basketball world. Out of the timeout, Hoya basketball. Trawick leading for Starks. And now they're going to get Lubick for the illegal screen.
Even though that was an illegal screen on Lubick, they look pretty crisp in running their offense. Starks directing the traffic, putting people in position, people cutting in and moving. I mean, you gotta Coach Thompson has to be pleased in the way they're running their offensive sets, with the exception of Lubick picking up that offensive foul.
Georgetown actually out-rebounded in the first half, 17-16 by the Eagles, but that's changed here at half number 2. Hoya's 8 rebounds to just 1 for the Eagles after the break. Wroblicki trapped, looking for help. Finally able to find Schoaf. Munoz surveys, guarded by Lubick.
And look at Lubick moving his feet. And you have a 6'8" guy on a 6-foot guy, and he's out there moving his feet. That tells you the versatility of this Georgetown team.
Porter Jr. in rhythm, and right to the bottom of the cup. Otto Porter Jr. has 14, a rebound away from another double-double.
One thing about playing defense against an offense like this, you can never fall asleep. You always have to be mentally focused and be ready to play defense for 45 seconds.
Lubick rejecting Wroblicki.
With Georgetown, again, in the first half, shot 7-11 from the three-point line. Here, they continuing that good shooting in the second half.
Shooting's been solid. Defense has stretched it out a little bit. Oh, Schoaf able to be free. Great skip pass there for AU, and Schoaf with his second straight triple.
Yeah, but when you're on the defensive end on that backside line, you have to be aware of who is in your zone. That time, Markel Stocks fell asleep, and Schoaf was able to get a wide open look.
Whittington attacking. Schoaf there defensively on the baseline. That's his third personal.
You always have to be aware on that backside line. You have to find out where shooters are, and when you don't find where they are, AU will find them, and Schoaf, as he did, knock down that shot.
Shooting over 50% from long range this year. 24-46. And 12 against Georgetown last year in this meeting during his freshman season. Speaking of freshmen, Smith Rivera checking in.
And Trauer is doing an outstanding job. That's the second time he has penetrated into the teeth of the zone and find shooters, and Smith Rivera was able to cash it in.
10 three balls now in the game for Georgetown, and Schoaf lost it out of bounds. 7th turnover of the game for AU. 6 TOs in the contest for the Hoyas.
And Coach Thompson doesn't have a problem with guys shooting wide open shots, especially when they're in rhythm and in the context of the offense.
Smith Rivera gaining some confidence in that three-point shot. Starting to approach 40% from deep on the year for him. In 19 4-4 threes in that game against Duquesne, opening weekend of the year. Lubig's pass away from everybody.
Sometimes I think Lubig is just too unselfish. Sometimes he's just too unselfish. But that's a good thing. You would rather have an unselfish player than have a selfish player anytime. And I would take that any day of the week.
Certainly has done more scoring than in years past this year. Starting unit for Georgetown, first 5 all, been averaging at least 8 or 9 points per game throughout the season thus far. Joe Levette. Jeff Jones talking about him continuing to round into playing shape. Knees healthy, but got to get up to game speed for AU. They'll time it on the floor. Georgetown will have it after the break. Hoyas continuing to lead AU.
Infiniti Limited Engagement Winter Event. Enjoy the best offers of the season, including an Infiniti G sedan for only $319 a month. Infiniti, inspired performance.
No matter where you are, things at home are under control. Your control. Experience Xfinity Home, only from Comcast. The total home security and home control solution with features like remote light and thermostat controls and much more. This is home security reimagined. Call 1-800-XFINITY now and for a limited time get free standard installation and no activation fee with Xfinity Home.
Hello, friend. I'm Pat Boone. Are you dreaming of an ideal retirement? Well, if you're 62 or older, there's a smart and easy way to get the money to make it happen. A reverse mortgage from my friends at Security One Lending, a national leader in reverse mortgages. They can help you turn the equity in your home into tax-free cash. Call to get this free, no-obligation information kit, which includes an educational video and the top 10 things to know about reverse mortgages. Why don't you call now?
Sights that the holiday scene is upon us, all abound here at Verizon Center. And the Georgetown signs in effect. Hoyas living up to the billing today. 15th ranked team of the country, leading American, Otto Porter Jr., as usual, doing his thing.
Well, he's been relatively quiet because we haven't spoke about him much today. But, again, he's a stat sheet stuffer. He does a lot of things on the floor, from defending, stealing, scoring, rebounding. He's one of those guys that can do any and everything on the floor, and that's why he's getting the recognition that he's getting this season.
Otto Porter Jr. today, you talk about it, you say he's been quiet. It has, because they don't come in bunches, but you stack up what he does in this category and that category and this, and all of a sudden you realize he's close to a double-double. Let's look again at your keys to the game, Mark, see how they've turned out so far.
But as you see, American University hasn't done a good job of taking care of the basketball, but Georgetown has limited American University to getting all threes. I think they have one off in the second half, and I'm sure Coach Thompson is happy about how they're playing defense out here in the second half.
And great rebounding edge here in the half for the Hoyas, and they're going to call Trawick for traveling along the baseline. He was not able to move, and they'll call him for steps. We'll see that too often. AU basketball. Boys trying to extend a little bit more. Joe Levette likes to get to the paint. Couldn't that time. The length of Lubick and others forcing him into a tough shot. Smith Rivera, strong take. And he should be getting to the free throw line.
When Georgetown is back in that defensive zone, when they have their arms up, that makes that defense look so big, because it's so difficult to get passes from one side to the other side. I mean, it might look like an O-zone when you're trying to make a pass, but then again, it turns into a keyhole because those guys are so long in their wingspan.
Fouls on Vosic, his third. Lumpkins, Schoaf back for AU as Roblicki and Bursch check out. Smith Rivera with free throw. 23-point lead.
We talked about Joe Levette and his return to American University and the injury he had with his knee, and being able to come back so quickly. It's amazing when Coach Jeff Jones said, well, there's no Adrian Peterson, but for him to come back in such a quickly time matter was impressive.
The Minnesota Vikings running back who had a tough knee issue, getting so much publicity for his great season in the NFL. Well, as Lumpkins goes to the free throw line, Joe Levette's done great things coming back from his knee trouble.
Here at Lumpkins, he's been relatively quiet, but he's still working hard, battling down on the boards, trying to get position to score, and was able to come up and create a foul opportunity.
Lumpkins, over 70% shooter from the line. Moses Ayegba going to come in off the bench for the Hoyas, giving Lubick a breather. And the junior from Nigeria, last couple of games, chipped in on the offensive end. Best performance, 4 points, 5 rebounds against Longwood a couple of games ago for Georgetown, and a double-double in the books now for Otto Porter Jr.
I don't know if I've ever heard of one getting a quiet double-double, but it seems like Otto Porter Jr. is always in getting double-doubles, and it seems very quiet out here when he gets his numbers.
Also 2 assists, a block, a couple of steals for Porter Jr. Whittington that time with a loose ball rebound. Ayegba. Lumpkins made him extend short of the shot. Whittington with a second chance.
And this is what makes Whittington so tough, because of his size and lift. He's able to attack the glass on the offensive rebound and be able to cash it back in.
Porter Jr. there almost had another theft. Carroll for 3. 3-on-1 Georgetown. The lob. And the put down from Trawick.
And Trawick knew what he was doing when he first got that ball. Pass it out to Winnington and say, I know I'm going to get the lob. And he got the lob with a good pass from Porter Jr.
Talking about the array of skills for Otto Porter Jr. The timing impeccable there with Trawick for the flush. Lumpkins, Iagba going to get whistled for the personal.
Where Trawick knew from the beginning, once he got this steal, if I give it up quick, I'm going to get the nice pass in the finish. And Porter with an excellent pass. Trawick is so athletic. The bench, as you see, is exuberant, jumping up and down of that nice alley-oop play.
Stephen Domingo back in for Georgetown. And now with this lead stretched out, John Thompson III. Opportunity to get some of the bench players he may need at times in the Big East schedule some more time. There's Joe Levette in form for AU.
Excellent ball movement by AU. When the team is in a zone, you want to get the ball into the teeth of the defense. They got it into Lumpkins. Lumpkins surveyed the floor and found a wide open Joe Levette for the knockdown three.
5 points now for the senior. Back from his knee trouble. Again, Jeff Jones trying to get his squad ready for Patriot League play. And Joe Levette back into game shape. That's out of bounds off the miss from Smith Rivera.
And it's going to take Joe Levette some time to get his rhythm back, his timing together, and get into basketball shape. He's done an outstanding job of getting back into shape just to get rehab his knee. But once he gets into condition and once conference play starts, I think he'll be ready to roll.
Aaron Bowen on the floor for the first time. Sophomore from Jacksonville for Georgetown. Jesse Reed to Munoz. Mid-range pull-up is there for Munoz.
Munoz has been playing a good game today. Nice pull-up jump shot. AU working the ball from one side to the other, and Munoz is able to come up with a nice move and an easy bucket.
Averages 10 points per game of the season, has 10 in this one. Porter Jr., baseline. Rebound Reed. Lumpkins. Blocked. Second chance. Blocked again. Back-to-back rejections for Iagba and the Hoyas. Lumpkins trying to body up. And the walk call. Little battle of 32s there. Iagba and Lumpkins. Georgetown has the upper hand here in D.C.
Experience Ruby Tuesday's new mixed grill specials starting at $11.99, including our ribs with bacon wrapped shrimp. Enjoy our free garden bar with any mixed grill special. Ruby Tuesday. It's all good here. This season, buy $50 in Ruby Tuesday gift cards and get a $15 bonus card absolutely free.
Why is everybody in such a hurry? Because it's the final 100 hours of the Ford year-end celebration. Last chance to get the best deals of the year on America's freshest lineup. Hurry in for the great mileage. Hurry in for the latest technology. The clock is ticking, so hurry to the final 100 hours of Ford's year-end celebration before everything's gone. And one more thing, hurry.
Get an additional $500 year-end bonus cash on virtually all Ford vehicles during our final 100 hours celebration. That means up to $6,000 total cash back.
Winter's here, our friends are near. We're right where we belong, and we'll have good times together. We'll last forever. Our love, it always shows that when we are with each other, our friendship only grows.
Sam Adams Winter Lager. It'll warm your cockles, whatever cockles are.
When back pain slows you down, trust the Icy Hot for powerful relief.
The Icy Hot Patch. Powerful relief for backs, shoulders, even arthritis. Goes on icy to dull pain, hot to relax it away.
So you're back to full speed.
Icy Hot. Power past pain.
Georgetown working its way towards what would be a 10th win of the year, handling American thus far at Verizon Center. We talk with Georgetown Athletic Director Lee Reed at halftime. Among the topic that is on the tongues of Hoya fans and a lot of basketball fans around the nation, that is the teams agreeing to exit the Big East at some point en masse, the 7 non-big time football playing schools from the conference, including Georgetown. This group, including a handful of founding members leaving. What's your perspective on that announcement about a week ago?
Well, I think that these 7 schools had to do something instead of sit back and wait, because you never know what can happen. So they decided to make the first move. Does it touch me in a way because I'm a former Big East player? We don't know what's going to happen with the name, the Big East, the rights of the word Big East. And so many memories go through when I've watched and I actually played in this conference. But I understand the business side of sports and what's driving this conference realignment in terms of football. But I have to credit these 7 schools for taking an initiative to take things in their own hands.
As we talk with Lee Reed at halftime, certainly so many questions, just a litany of queries for all these schools. How do you go about forming that conference? There's something to look ahead for them, and 2 for what's left of the Big East and as it moves forward. Certainly, though, for Georgetown and those other schools, seemingly it's basketball first. And we'll see how things shake out and what you think might happen, as we've seen in the last couple of chaotic years in the college athletic landscape. It may not happen.
Right.
Wait 5 minutes. Munoz here, waiting on this possession. Carroll looking to continue to give AU a lift. Guy that was able to transfer in from Rutgers after missing time with a knee injury for the Scarlet Knights last year. Goaltend there against Diagba as Munoz attacked.
I'm sure there are a lot of things that AU can take from a game like this, then going into Kansas playing them next week, and then getting ready for conference play. So these are a lot of things they can learn and take from this game, not use it as just, hey, we lost to Georgetown, but you want to take some lessons from this game and get ready for conference play.
Yeah, we mentioned the chaos with the Big East seemingly affecting conferences at all levels. Patriot League's expanding too. 8 teams in the league right now, American among them, but BU and Loyola of Maryland will be joining the Patriot League to make that a 10-league team coming up in years to come. AU taking part in a game at Kansas. Then they'll take on Maryland Eastern Shore. Cornell before starting the Patriot League schedule at Colgate January 12th. And again, in the Patriot League, Bucknell and Lehigh, the dominant top 2 teams. There's C.J. McCollum last year for Lehigh, a tour de force performance for him in the NCAA tournament. And Bucknell coming into play today, he is 11-1 with some quality wins, including victories against George Mason and Purdue at the start of the year. AU hopes to be in the mix, picked 3rd in the Patriot League. Bowen in the midst of that.
But back to the conference realignment, as we were speaking of earlier, no conference is really safe. Not the ACC, not the Atlantic 10. No conference is safe because you don't know what's going to happen in the end.
Whittington can't put it down. Vasic able to collect it. Certainly, he is a fascinating time to follow along, find out where your team's going to be. We know this, Georgetown's going to be in the Big East this year, and certainly going to be a force. And this year of Big East basketball, again with the teams and what they've done so far in the early portion, again, you're going to have another good chunk of teams that are going to be a threat going forward to the NCAA tournament. Talking about in the neighborhood of 8, 9, 10 again, possibly down the line.
And that's a very good possibility with several of these teams ranked in the top 25 again this year. But it is, I must say, it is sad to me to see how this conference realignment is playing out with the absence of a Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry. You won't see that probably no more in the future.
Two big games of the schedule this year. February 23rd, Georgetown at Syracuse, and then the Orange here to take on the Hoyas on March 9th. Last regular season Big East meetings for those rivals. We'll see if that series continues in a non-conference setting down the line. You look at the top 25 teams in the Big East to this point. The Orange and the Bearcats of Cincinnati still perfect on the year.
And these are the teams that are typically always in the top 25, probably with the exception of the Cincinnati, but their program is on the rise and have done very well last year in the NCAA tournament, as well as how they played and finished out the Big East tournament last year.
And Mick Cronin and the Bearcats. Outstanding win. Big victory in the Crosstown shootout in the past week against Xavier. And their rivals in Cincinnati. AU, mini run here, 9-0 in the last 5 minutes, but still 17 down to Georgetown. Domingo to the back of the head of Ayegba. Munoz ringing up three. AU continues its push. 12-0 run. Munoz has 15.
And Ayegba has to pay attention. If he's going to set a screen and roll to the basket, he has to keep an eye out on where the ball is, because it's a possibility that the ball will get delivered to you, as he got struck in the head with.
And something that guys who are looking for more playing time never want to see. The starters are back up off the bench for Georgetown.
Right. Well, AU is trying to keep it respectable, but Munoz is doing his job from three lane.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful.
It's our most wonderful line of the year. Celebrate the holidays and lease this 2013 GMC Terrain for around $199 per month.
Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Did you bring it, Grandpa?
I've got it, sweetie. 40-year-old tradition to keep. I hope we make it.
We'll make it.
Winter is the season to bring family together. Visit the Infinity Limited Engagement Winter event for the best offers of the season, including an Infinity JX for $499 a month. Infinity, inspired performance.
Georgetown watching a 12-0 run from American make it closer, but the Hoyas still in front by double figures. 2-week break now for the Hoyas before their Big East opener in January. Have some time to practice, maybe some time to do more charitable work like they did in the fall, when the players and coaches, including John Thompson III, volunteered at Some Others Might Eat, organization in D.C. that aids the poor and homeless in our nation's capital. Players and coaches helping serve some food. The organization also provides some life skills, clothing to others in and around the community. So there may be opportunity for Georgetown to do more things like this when they have their break time coming up. And of course, around the Hoya basketball program, it's always been more about basketball and academics, a bit about a sense of community as well.
Well, it's definitely about giving back to the community, because there are a lot of people out here who are less fortunate, don't have the opportunity to go to school. The economy is bad. People don't have jobs, but when you have a team of young guys to go out here and see what's happening in the community, it can have an effect and help a lot of people and make people feel good about themselves.
Interesting, this break coming up for Georgetown, a little unusual. Normally, team would have a game right around the following weekend or something in between Christmas and New Year's. Munoz is short of the shot, but Georgetown does not have that this year, so they'll give the players an extra day when they're allowed to go away for Christmas. Porter Jr. stop up strong, second chance, and he'll get to the line. Normally they'd come back Christmas night. They're going to be allowed to come back on the 26th, and then they'll get into what essentially is going to be like a 10-day training camp.
Yes, and those are the worst times when you have like you said, a 10-day training camp. You come back from break, you're eating all that wonderful food that your family has prepared for you. Then you have to get out here and start running these sprints and running practices, and you have to be mentally prepared during this time of the year, especially when you have a gap in between games the way Georgetown have it this year.
We talked at the top of the telecast what Georgetown's doing well, what they need to improve on. Clearly in this game, John Thompson III is going to want them to work on spotting shooters, but seeing this game, seeing the body of work of Georgetown, what are other things they can really hone in on in that little stretch of practice before the Big East opener against Marquette?
Well, I think they definitely need to obviously show up on the rebounding, stay focused on the defensive end, but more importantly, they're going to have to do a better job of finishing at the free throw line. They're shooting probably around in the high 60s, and they want to get that number up somewhere in the 70s, because these guys are very versatile and anyone can post at any given time. So they want to be able to cash in when they get to the line.
Jesse Reed, that was a more contested three, would not fall. Approaching 2:30 left, Lubick in close, not able to drop it in. Munoz. Hoyas able to use some clock. Whittington left open. And Reed tripped up by Starks. And no real foul trouble in this contest for either team. That is, though, number 7 of the half on Georgetown. So free throws coming up here for Reed, or at least the opportunity on the 1-and-1. Lumpkins at the bench. If you're AU, that's the one sign of this game. Hasn't been a sign this season because Lumpkins has been very consistent, but he was not really able to be a factor on the interior this afternoon.
Well, I think since he's playing against a team that has the same size and length as he does, but that is very athletic, I think that caused a little problem for him to get his shot off. But he probably won't see a team with the size and the length as a Georgetown once conference play starts. So I think he will be more effective once they get into league play.
Whittington spies Trawick underneath. Twisting reverse layup for 2.
I was reading the other day, Jay Billis is going to have an all-toughness team. I didn't see Trawick's name, so I tweeted Jay Billis. He hasn't hit me back yet.
You can make a case for Trawick.
Yeah, Trawick is one of those tough players. He brings a lot of emotion and energy to this team, and he's done an outstanding job of being productive offensively coming off the bench, and that's what Georgetown is going to need once they get into conference play. It's some production offensively as well as defensively coming off the bench.
And don't forget, up next here on Masson, more Big East action. The UMBC Retrievers travel to Chicago to take on the Blue Demons of DePaul. That's ahead after we're through here in D.C. 7 for Trawick. The scores for Georgetown, again, predominantly from the starting 5 as it's been this year. But you talk about bench production. Trawick now with 7. Smith Rivera's done a good job with 8 points off the bench. Certainly Domingo and Iegba of the players that seemingly will be in that rotation in conference play. Can they be a little bit more factors offensively, chip in a bucket or two per game.
And they're right at their average in terms of their bench production, averaging about 13 points a game coming off the bench.
Good save by John Caprio as the walk-on gets some time, his 5th game of the year. Lubick fouled by Vasic, 4th personal foul on the AU freshman. Caprio getting some extended run here in the final minute plus. 2 of 3 from the field so far this year. Lubick at the line. One of the things you highlighted to improve free throw shooting this for Lubick. Again, the Georgetown schedule, the break, and then at Marquette to start off Big East play. Pittsburgh at St. John's. Certainly doesn't seem like there's a lot of easy nights or easy outs in conference. Lubick hits the 2nd free throw. Season high 9 rebounds, 2 for him.
And not only easy games, but they're going to seem like they're going to have a Big East foe every 3 games. So it's going to be no nights off, much more concentration and focus, paying attention to the details, processing information. There's so much that's going to have to take place once league play starts.
Lubick gets a nice hand as he comes off. Bradley Hayes, freshman from Jacksonville, 7-footer. On the floor in the final minute. Caprio the rebound. Smith Rivera attacking. Hayes too strong on the follow tap. Rebound for Hayes. Guy that only played 1 full year of high school, grew tremendously in high school, 9 inches in 3 years, is still trying to put together his game for Georgetown as you look at the starters.
Taking the break, relaxing. Jabril talking about the lob that he had. Porter talking about the rebound, still cheering his team on.
Guys who work hard, practice every day, getting the opportunity to do it in a game. That's the way it ends. 65-48 the final. Georgetown able to get it done. 10 3-pointers in the game for the Hoyas. Shooting 48% from long range. Otto Porter Jr. 16, Greg Whittington 13. And Georgetown now 10-1 on the year. Back to DC in a moment.